Yeah, it's funny because I've seen both, right? You've got the inflation of titles, and then you've also got the massive deflation of titles. Companies like Facebook and others have said you have to be really, really senior to be at a director level or a VP level. I think it ultimately comes down to, what is the scope of the role? What are the skills that you need? And how are you deploying those skills? Broadly, I think that there's kind of like three different tiers within the product team within an organization. There's the IC tier, there's the manager tier, and the executive tier. And the way that I like to differentiate those is, as an IC, your job is to build the product. As a manager, your job is to build the team that builds the product. And as an executive, your job is to build the systems that build the teams that build the product. And so that sort of escalation in terms of scope and responsibility is really the best indicator of whether or not you're in an executive role, or you're in a manager role, or you're in an IC role. And when companies have someone who's in sort of a super IC role, but give them a VP title, that's not really a service to the company. And it's not really a service to the individual as well, because then they need to justify their title when they're looking at their next role. I think too often titles are seen as a reward. It's like a cheap reward that a company can give because you don't have to give equity, you don't have to give additional comp or bonus. But the problem is that title is actually not a form of recognition. It is an organizational design tool. And really thoughtful companies think about, how do I want to define the strata in our organization so that the organizational design is really aligned with our strategy and what we're trying to accomplish? And when you waste titles as a reward, you no longer have that tool to design the org. And so, for that reason, I think it's important for companies to think about title as, in that way, as an organizational tool, not as a reward. And for individuals who definitely want to move up in their career, to understand that that's the situation that companies are in, and to seek out companies that are going to give you the opportunity to be a manager, to be an executive, rather than just the title.
Makes sense.